This video is on working a 4-day work week. So wouldn't it be nice to have every weekend as a long weekend? So you may be working Monday to Thursday and you get Friday off every week, and think of the things that you could actually do on that free day. That may seem like a faraway dream, but more and more companies are allowing employees to work a 4-day work week. I've actually worked a 4-day work week for the last 15 years. So in my organization, I applied for compressed hours, which means that I work a full week, 36.25 hours, in 4 days. So that would look like 7 a.m. to around 4:30, 4:40 on Monday to Thursday. And within some of those days during the week, they're also maybe working from home as well. So that's a lot of flexibility, and it's really enabled me to have that Friday to look after my son, which saves us a lot of time on daycare and allows me to have a lot of quality time with him as he's growing up. So 4-day work week, there's lots of advantages. So you may think that it could be something that you maybe want to explore. So in this video, I'll be talking about some of my experiences working a 4-day work week, what works, what doesn't, and also how you could approach your employer if it's something that you want to pursue. So the perks, it's obviously really positive working 4 days a week. It enables you to have that free time. The toughest thing about working 4 days is, for me, those days are quite long. Now, I recognize there are probably people watching this that are like, my days are that long and I don't get the Friday off. I get that, but if you have the opportunity to actually have a day off, I'm sure you would take it as well. For my energy levels, I'm much stronger in the morning. I don't drink coffee, I don't need it. In the morning, I'm buzzing and I like to get things done. By the afternoon, things can drag on a little bit. So it can be really important to make it work that you structure the more brain developing, harder thinking tasks in the morning. And for me, I do the boring admin, don't require as much brain space in the afternoon. So you can kind of structure your energy around the day so that you kind of, when those tough afternoon hours, you're kind of getting through it. The other things that are maybe a slight challenge is not being available on a certain day. So if customers are expecting something, knowing that they have to wait a bit longer. I've been fortunate to be in roles that hasn't been an issue. They've been more project-based or event-based, where I have flexibility around where I schedule things. But I take the point that in some roles where there's a lot of customer demands or expectations, that may be something you need to navigate. And that's what we'll talk through in the next section about how you can kind of make it work. But overall, working 4 days has been fantastic. I can't foresee myself working 5 days in one organization. I could see myself working, 3 days one place, 2 days another, or doing certain side projects. So looking at, rather than being with one employer, it could be working several different jobs so you have that variety. And that's part of doing some of the YouTube stuff, is to actually build up an alternative potential revenue source or skill set so that I can have that flexibility to work when I want, where I want. So if you're looking at this and thinking, that sounds really good, how could I get something like this? The first thing to consider is to look at it from, okay, where you work currently, is it viable? Does that organization have a structure? Do they have a name for it? So organizations I've worked in have actually had flexibility as a product or kind of off the shelf that you can sort of say, I want that. For a lot of organizations, it's not something that exists. That doesn't mean it's not possible, it just means it's not as easy, and people kind of like, well, what are the ramifications of that? In most organizations, as long as you're working the hours, it's not as big of an impact if you're not working over 5 days. But I take it that if you're a pilot, if you're driving a bus, if you physically need to be in a space, it's not like you can just say, sorry customers, you have to walk today because so-and-so is taking a day off. But they could roster people around, so that's something to consider. So always look at it from the manager's point of view as well about, okay, well, who's going to cover that extra day that you're not away? And that could actually be a really good opportunity to cross-skill, right? There might be someone else in your team that would be really beneficial for them to learn what you do, and the day you're away is a great opportunity for them to do that. So think about it from a bit of a business plan point of view about how you can make it work. So questions you might consider are, how would customers deal with me being away? Who would they contact? What things would I need to keep trucking away at? Ideally, you don't want to be checking your emails on your day off, because it's kind of like, that's kind of working a full day. You're just doing it from home potentially. So you want to really set the boundaries. So that's another really important thing. How do you set the boundaries? How do you let customers know that they can't contact you? Where can they go for support instead of you? Who else is picking up the work? And the other thing to consider is, do you want to do a full work week? So whatever your full work week is in your organization in 4 days, or maybe you want to scale it back. Maybe you want to get paid 90% and do less hours, but you do it over 4 days. I know people that do that. They just can't commit to working those longer days because they've got to drop off kids at daycare or lots of different things, but they might actually get paid for 90% and work that over 4 days, and there might be some tax benefits to that, or it might be worthwhile from a work-life balance point of view. So that's another consideration. The other considerations include things like, well, obviously one of the perks of working 4 days is you don't have to travel. You don't have to travel on that fifth day, although you're probably doing lots of other stuff like picking up kids or driving them around or looking after kids or getting the house ready. So you are working on the fifth day usually, but it's saving that time so when you've got the weekend, you've actually got quality time to spend together. And when I worked 5 days a week, it was like, well, Saturday I had to do the washing, had to do the house cleaning. My wife does that most of the time, so she would comment on this video if I didn't set the record straight. And you know, you'd be running around doing lots of things, but now it's kind of like with the weekends, we can kind of mainly focus on the children and what are activities and things that we could be doing on that specific day. The other thing to think about when considering a 4-day week is pitching it like it's a trial. So if a manager is so used to everyone being available over the 5 days, it can be a bit of a struggle for them and a threat sometimes to think about, well, what is it going to be like? How am I going to get things done? So always pitch it as a trial. Can we trial this for 3 months? Can we trial this for 6 months? And we'll see how it goes. And that's fair on you as well, because it might not work for you. You might actually really like coming in 5 days a week. You just didn't realize it. So it's really important just to pitch it as a bit of a trial, and that might be a good way of getting buy-in. If your organization is not supportive to working flexible hours, then it might be something that you consider when applying for another job. Now, most jobs won't advertise, some organizations advertise that we're flexible, we have flexibility arrangements in place, particularly government or larger organizations, but often you'll need to negotiate it. So for example, in the job that I applied for at a university, prior to starting, I actually said, hey, is this possible? I've been doing it for several years. It's been really effective. Is that something that you could accommodate as well? So they had to check with their HR department, and it turns out it was okay. And that's what I've been doing at this new organization as well. So, you know, but if I'd been in an organization where they had said no, then, you know, I would have had to go to another organization to kind of make it work, or another work area within that organization. So I'm pretty lucky that, and I deliberately choose organizations that do have flexibility because that's really important to me. So I'd really encourage you to consider it. More organizations and more cultures around the world are trying 4 days a week. It is a really great thing to consider. So best of luck in your journey in securing that precious time. You know, we can't create more time in our lives, so that if you be able to spend it doing things that you really enjoy, definitely put the energy into trying to make it work. Thank you so much. Have a great work-life balance. Enjoy the time that you're watching this. And if you like this video, like and subscribe. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye now.